incredibly pervasive. All right, let's. I'll be right back with everyone on the other side of this break. This is Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot, and we are back on the air with Dr. John Hall. And we're on the last half hour of the show. It's amazing how fast the show has gone. Apparently, we've got a caller. It looks like it's Kip in, I don't know, Vermont, maybe? Are you on the air with us, Kip?
Oh, that's fantastic. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, thank you so much. This is Kip from Vermont. Please let me just first say wonderful blessings to Carrie Cassidy and Bill Ryan and the incredible work you're doing, and also a tremendous thanks to Dr. John Hall and his brave work. My question is two questions, if I may. One, past use for people who may have experimented with LSD or magic mushrooms, or maybe even MDMA, known as ecstasy, whether past use or maybe the occasional current use would be make a person more susceptible to these effects, or if it could possibly strengthen the mind. If you had any thoughts on that or knowledge.
Well, I don't know if it would strengthen the mind. I know it chemically it doesn't make you a easier target, but usually just the use alone makes you a valuable target, because when you start voicing complaints of it, they're going to blame it on the drug. At least that's what we're seeing. Now, I know in the early MK-Ultra studies, they researched all of those for making the mind more subject to suggestion and hypnosis. And indeed they do. Anything that raises dopamine levels in the brain, which those do, will make you more susceptible to hypnotic suggestion, which some of this is remote hypnosis. So I guess not only would it make you more subject to control, but it's also going to make you very easily discredited if you ever start voicing the complaint.
Well, I would be very aware of that. I just had a nap the other day, and I was listening to some Native American music, and as I woke up from this nap, I just had this strange kind of thought come to me that said, gee, someone could be in my head right now, and I would have no idea.
Yeah, and that's the sad part of this technology is that if someone's trying to control you and not harass you, you won't hear a voice or anything that you consider foreign in your head. You'll just be controlled.
Wow, well, thank you so much, folks. I guess I really have any more questions, but keep up the good work, and I will continue to send my blessings of love and light to the whole Project Camelot team and all the whistleblowers.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay. Well, Dr. Hall, this is so amazing, the work you're doing. I have to say that it's very valuable to people. I think for decades there have been people that have been manipulated, and it's only gradually that these people are being able to come forward and not be ridiculed. And obviously your efforts in this direction are very valuable. We have some whistleblowers that are called super soldiers, one of which is Duncan O'Finian. I don't know if you happen to be familiar with him or have watched his video interview that we did.
I didn't watch the interview. I am familiar with him, and I believe he was actually scheduled to come on a conference call through Freedom from Covert Harassment and Surveillance. I don't know if that is scheduled or if it's already been, but I know he's got some very valuable knowledge that he was going to share with some of the people in the organization. And I've seen, I actually saw him on the True TV thing, Conspiracy Theory, with Jesse Ventura, which, I wish they would have had him on a little longer and let him talk a little bit more about what was going on than they did. But I understand that's all.
Now you are breaking up at the moment, so we are having some electronic interference, at least at my end, in what you're saying. I don't know if you're breaking up for other people. I am being told by one of my contacts here that AI is all pervasive and very much self-aware, and that what we're talking about here actually goes beyond satellite surveillance. There is an artificial intelligence, according to one of our whistleblowers in the past, and to one of my contacts at this time, who is saying that this surveillance of humans and humanity is they have put into place an artificial intelligence that is surveilling the planet as a whole and individuals as pervasively across the planet. And I don't know if you considered that.
Haven't really delved into that too much, but that it would sound like a reasonable thing to look into. And because they've been working on artificial intelligence for some time now, and like you said, the government research is light years ahead of what we really have access to, on the ground in the private sector. So that wouldn't surprise me in the least. And like I said, when I wrote my book, I'm going by what I was told by a friend that's currently with the CIA. He may not really understand what he's telling me either. I mean, it's one of those things where it's the chicken or the egg. I'm going by my experience and what I was told by people that are working with it in the field. But then again, who knows what they're being told? So, I mean, I'm always open to new suggestions and what this can be, and it certainly could be artificial intelligence based. That's for sure.
Right. It's really mind-boggling, the possibilities here. We've got another caller, Rob in I don't know, maybe Wisconsin. Rob, are you there? Hello?
Hello?
Do we have a caller? Do we have a caller named Rob?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hi, Rob. Yes,
Hello.
we can.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
First of all, I really appreciate both of you and the work that you're both doing. I can't thank you enough. I consider myself to be a fairly recent victim. I'm glad that I haven't dealt with this for a decade, and I hope I don't have to deal with it for a decade more, because I'm not. I will say that I'm not dealing with the voice to skull stuff, thankfully, but I am dealing with the organized stalking and electronic harassment, and my suspicion is that it has been like satellite based. I thought at first that I had some sort of a GPS in me, but it was like, how could that possibly happen? And when the whole remote neural monitoring aspect came into view with some of the poking around on the internet that I did, I was like, I mean, of course I was blown away, because it's like a much more of a sci-fi reality than I would have ever imagined. But my curiosity about that is, how is it possible if you're in a household with multiple people, how they would initially how would they single you out, or if they selected you or profiled you as part of this experimentation or weaponry, how would they zero in on you specifically so that others weren't actually being affected by it?
It's being done in two ways. One is by biofrequency signature, and the other is by EEG fingerprinting, and they kind of overlap. But your EEG, when you think, and the electricity goes through your brain, creating an EEG, it also gives off ELF waves. And everybody has a different ELF wave signature, and everybody has a different frequency signature. And that's one of the hardest things to get people to understand, is that when you first get victimized by this, everyone thinks, I've got to have a chip in me. That would be the only way they would home in on me. It was a homing beacon or a chip.
Yeah.
And that's older technology, and I have had patients that have had chips in them. James Walbert in Missouri, I read his MRIs. He has a Verichip-style chip that was buried in his trapezius muscle while he was in the drugged state or an unconscious state. But that's 10-year-old technology at the least. Most of it's being done now. No chip required, because it's done with an EEG signature or a biofrequency signature.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm curious. Well, if you had, say, for example, you had 5 people standing in a line, and each of them obviously have a different brain signature, how would they actually be able to, initially, if they were like, okay, we want this guy, specifically? Would it just be like, okay, they'd zero in on each one of those, and then by just monitoring each one, they'd finally